In the last video, I showed you the first way you can potentially treat your HSA account in your personal budgeting spreadsheet. And in this video, I'm going to show you a second way that you could treat your HSA account in your personal budgeting spreadsheet. The last video was specifically if you use your HSA account regularly to pay for medical expenses. And this video is going to show you what to do if you don't regularly use your HSA account to pay for medical expenses, but rather you treat your HSA account as an investment account. Now, before I get started and showing you the specifics of how you're going to enter these transactions, I want to explain to you 3 points about why we're going to treat your HSA account this way so you can understand what is happening when I do actually get to the point of putting in a transaction from an HSA account onto the transaction sheet. So I've just written out 3 points here, and you can skip ahead if you don't really care to know why, but I think it's important to understand how money works in this budget before we just tell you how to enter these transactions. So in this scenario, you're actually not going to enter your HSA account or your 401k account or your other investment accounts into this budget spreadsheet. And the first reason is because you're only going to input bank and cash accounts into the budget spreadsheets that you're regularly transacting money both in and out of. If you treat your HSA as an investment account, kind of like a Roth IRA or a 401k or whatever else, you're generally putting money into it, but you're not really taking money out of it. And this budget spreadsheet is best used with accounts that you're taking money both in and out of. It would be not very helpful to have accounts here that money isn't going in and out of regularly. Secondly, in this budget spreadsheet, it might be helpful for you to think of your 401k, your Roth IRA, your educational savings account, your HSA, your HRA. All those are investment accounts. If you just contemporarily think of them as stores, as outside entities that do not exist in your budget category. Yes, you go to the grocery store regularly, or you go to Starbucks regularly, or you go to Home Depot regularly, but we haven't put an account for any of those stores into this budget spreadsheet, and we're not going to do that for our investment accounts either. They're, technically speaking, in this budget spreadsheet, they're outside entities, so if you can just temporarily think of them as outside stores, that'll help you wrap your head around what we're doing with money for those investment accounts. And then the third reason we're not putting investment accounts here is because they fluctuate in value so much that it wouldn't be possible to keep up with every little daily transaction that happens, because then you'd be entering just lots of, like, hundreds of transactions, and it went up 20 cents today, it went down $100 the next day, it went up whatever, depending on how much money you have in those accounts, kind of on a daily basis or even an hourly basis. It's not going to be worth it to enter each one of those fluctuations in this transaction tab. So that's probably the biggest reason we are not going to put investment accounts into this budget spreadsheet. Now, that being said, there is a solution if you do want to be keeping track of the money that you have in your investment accounts, and that would be to download the net worth calculator that I have. It's not included in this budget, but it is free, and I will link it below in the comments so that you can be tracking the value of your investment accounts, including your HSA, in the net worth calculator. It's a separate file that is not part of this budget spreadsheet. I want to go back to point number 2 and explain this whole investment account equals stores thing again. What I mean to say is your investment accounts, just like Starbucks, Home Depot, etc., are not specifically listed in the budget, in this budget, but they are listed as budget categories, just like other types of stores are also listed as budget categories. So you don't have Safeway grocery store in here, but you do have a grocery store budget category. And you don't have a 401k account listed here, but you do have a retirement accounts budget category listed here. So that's the explanation. And then I'm going to now tell you what you would do to actually treat your HSA account as an investment, but then occasionally actually use your HSA account to pay for medical expenses in this budget category. So first, or in this budget spreadsheet. So the first thing you would want to do is on the Start Here sheet, the only place that you would list your HSA is going to actually be under a budget category. And so for here, I've listed it as HSA budget category. You could obviously just name it health savings account. And you'll see also that I have in this sample one for retirement savings, one for investments. You can get as detailed or as not detailed as you want here. For me, I've just chosen to have one that is retirement savings, my HSA budget, my investments. Even though outside of this I have more than one investment account and more than one retirement account, I've just lumped them all together here. And so what this means is kind of like we were talking about before, is with your budget categories, since you've listed this here as a budget category, this means that every single month as you are earning income, you can choose to put money towards that budget category just like you would any other budget category. So just like every single month you're putting money towards your electricity bill, your internet bill, your cell phone bill from the income that you're earning, you're also going to be taking money, if you so choose, and I hope you do, and putting it towards these different savings accounts. So once you've entered all of your investments, savings, HSA, cryptocurrency, retirement savings as budget fund categories here, what is going to happen, as you know, is that on the budget sheet here, those are all going to pop up as budget fund categories in both column B and F. And then, of course, as you already know, in these cells right here in columns B and C, it is telling you the balance you have available, quote, to spend on any one of these specific budget categories. Same applies to the savings categories that you have down here, your retirement savings, your investments, your HSA. So when we first started this budget, what we did is we took all of the money that we had to begin the budget, and then we decided to put all of that money, which is right here in cell G8, and we assigned it to different budget categories. And when we did that, we actually ended up, in this example, deciding to assign $1,000 towards the HSA budget category. And then the next month, we decided, you know what, I want to be putting $500 per month towards my HSA out of my income that I earn. So you're going to put $500 into this January column, if you so choose to put towards your HSA budget category, to put it in that account that does not exist in this budget whenever you'd like to. Now, you'll notice here that if you add 1,000 plus 500, that equals 1,500. But over here, it only says 1,000, and I'm going to show you why. Well, that's because on the transaction sheet, at some point this month or last month, I already put money towards my health savings account. So as you can see right here on January 30th, Romeo took money from his checking account. He put it into his health savings account that exists outside of this budget anywhere. And he took that money out, so it's outflow because he took $500 out of his checking account. And that $500 was also taken from the budget category of HSA. Now, as I've explained extensively in this video, because your health savings account does not exist within this budget, you don't have to enter that twice. It's just like as if you had spent $500 at Starbucks and the budget category was coffee. Same exact concept here. You spent $500 in putting it towards your HSA account, and the budget category is your HSA budget category. So because that was $500 that was taken out of your checking account and also taken out of the HSA budget category and given to your health savings account, what that ends up turning up as here is 1,000 plus 500 minus 500, which was 500, the amount here. 1,000 plus 500 minus 500 equals 1,000, which is the balance that I still have somewhere in my cash or bank accounts available to put towards my HSA budget category. All right? All right. Next up, I'm going to show you what you're going to do if you do end up spending money from your HSA account, which again, as I've said 100 times, the HSA account does not exist in this budget spreadsheet anywhere. I'm going to show you how to enter that as a transaction if we don't have the HSA account to be able to choose as the payment type. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. All right, let's say that you go to the doctor and you spend, say, $300 at the doctor, all right? And so we're going to enter that in transactions here. I want to show you something very quickly before I do that to show you what's going to happen. You'll need to remember this later. So if you look here in Romeo, his cash USD dollars, before I enter any transactions related to this medical expense, he has $60 in cash, okay? So remember that later. Romeo has $60 in cash. All right, now I'm going to show you what to do in the transaction sheet. So you go to the doctor and you spend, I don't remember what we said, let's just say $300, okay? You use your HSA card to pay for that, but we don't have an account for your HSA card. So this is what we're going to do. All right, so let's say this date is February, 4th, 2020, okay? What I'm going to do for the description is I'm going to say I've input money from my HSA account. That's what happened. The transaction type is going to be doctor visits, or the budget category is going to be doctor visits because that is a budget category that I've already established in this budget. The account name, and now this didn't actually in real life happen, but this is the only way that we can enter it into the budget spreadsheet. I'm just going to say that I paid for it with cash, and you'll see how this works out in the end, okay? So Romeo, cash, okay? And I put $300, and it was input. So what I'm saying here is that, oh, that's interesting. Please pardon, or I'm sorry, it's inflow. The minor mistake there, okay? So what I'm saying is that I received $300 in cash, and that $300 should go towards doctor visits, okay? I didn't actually receive $300 in cash, but because I don't have an account name that is HSA, I'm just going to temporarily say that it was cash, all right? Now, there's more to this. I promise you this will make sense, okay? So what happens here when I put the $300 towards Romeo's cash is, of course, on the balances sheet, it now says that Romeo has $360 in cash. Don't worry, that's going to be fixed. Let's go back to the transaction sheet. Then, what I'm going to say is on February 4th, 2020, I went to Dr. Smith, and I had a doctor visit, obviously, and I paid for it with cash, Romeo's cash. It was $300, and that was money outflowed. Ta-da! And now let's look at the balances sheet and see what it says for cash in Romeo's account. Well, what do you know? It says $60, just like it did before I entered any of these transactions. So by entering this as input from my HSA account, that is money that came from an outside entity, it was put towards my doctor visits, and it was $300. That means that even though I didn't show it to you, that means that $300 more was put somewhere in the back end of the spreadsheet towards my HSA budget category. Okay, let's show that to you again. I'm going to go ahead and actually just erase this for you to see what happens on the budget sheet when I've just only entered $300 into doctor visits. Okay, so let's see. Let's do this real quick. All right, so in my budget of doctor visits, I had $240, and then I input $300 into my doctor visits, so that means I now have $540 available in my doctor visits, but then I spent $300, so that means I again have $240 available in my doctor visits. So that's how you would input a transaction that was spent from your HSA account on a doctor visit when you do not have that HSA account as an account here. The same goes for any other account that you may have that exists outside of this spreadsheet. The same goes if you want to take in the fact that you, bought new windows for your house, but you didn't actually buy the windows for your house. Someone else did. You would put it in as cash that went into your home improvement, and then it went out towards the windows. So then you know that someone spent the money on the windows for your house, even though it wasn't you technically that spent it, or at least not an account in this sheet. I'm going to post this YouTube video, and then I might delete it and post a cleaner one later, but at least this gives you the idea of what to do if you occasionally use your HSA to pay for medical expenses, but for the most part, you don't. Thanks.